In today's video, I want to see just how well this Bachmann HO 70 tonner runs. So I'm going to remove the spectrum decoder that comes within it and put in this Lokpilot. It includes no sound. It's a very, very minimal but powerful decoder. So first things first, let's take a look at this. This is a Lokpilot. Let's move you aside for a moment. Go instructions. Here's our little Lokpilot decoder. We're going to be attaching all of our wires that are on that locomotive there to these contacts here, to these metal posts, because we don't have a 6-pin in this. So we're going to hardwire it, hopefully very briefly and quickly. This is just a small test to see how this runs. If it runs well, I may leave it in there. But here we've got our common wire, the blue, and we've got 2 AUX wires for lighting. And then the rest are set up here on those little posts. Let's see. I think right here it tells us what each one of those are for. There we go. Yep. Right here. Okay, so first off, let's remove the shell from this 70 tonner. We're going to unscrew this one first right down here. Oh, lost my screw. This pulls right out. And then we have 2 here. And these 2 just hold that shell right in place. I'm going to flip this upside down. Keep these screws off to the side here. Also. Okay. Keep that washer on it. Whoops. And so, there's our shell off. Okay. As before, I've stated in other videos, it has this really big metal weight. So next we will be, when we come back, we'll remove this weight and the spectrum board. Okay, so let's remove this weight. There's 2 screws on the top here. Just get those right off of there. Okay. We'll put this weight to the side. Next, we have our board, which comes unattached. It's held in by the screws that were holding the weight just above it. We have our track leads here, front and back, and our motor leads right here. This looks pretty good. These wires look nice under here. So we're going to remove this board now, okay? But let's keep in mind which way the front is on this locomotive. Before you remove the PCB board, there is an arrow right here that tells you which way the front is. We want to remember that when we start hooking up our track. As you can see here, as I flip this upside down, you look at the red wires. The red wires are on the right side. If this is the front and we're moving forward this way, motion for the loco, these are always, the red should always be the red track leads. Disregard the motor leads. The red track leads should always be on the right side, which they are. So I'm not going to mark this train. I'm going to know that as soon as I remove just the board. We're going to use these wires to connect it to our new decoder. But we remove this PCB board by slipping these little black slotted things right off. If you saw, that one just flew right off and practically hit me in the face just about. But carefully pull these out. Okay. And this side too, there's 3 on each. Okay. And the wires typically, they pop right out of there once you remove that, because they're just through that hole, and there's your board removed, okay? If I'm liking the way the motor runs on this, once we hook up motor and track lead, I may create a piece of styrene very similar like this and use these carriages and maybe this piece of this board to put my LEDs on. That might be handy. So we're going to leave that to the side for now. And we're left with all of our wires. Okay, we have our two, as I said, we have our right side track leads here, the red. We have our black here, okay? And those wires look pretty darn good. And here are our motor leads, okay? So what I'm going to do next is cut off these things here, which I believe are a form of resistor for the motor. I could be wrong, but I know that we do not need them. So when we come back, I'll start snipping away at those. Okay, so let's start clipping these little wires off for these resistors for the motor. Okay, there's 1, 2, and the other ones come in down here. Got that. And let's see. This one's right in here. Clip that off. We got this one that connects. Oh, connects them both, but we'll let's trim this one right as close as we can. Right there. Not bad, not bad. We can still have our wire connections attached to the motor, and that's good. And then just make sure this little piece right here doesn't touch any metal over here by the on the motor. We don't want that to happen. All right, let's see if I can't get just a little bit more of this off. Looks like I can. That's good. And same with this one. Sorry, went a little off film, off camera here. And that one. Okay. So that is that step. Okay, that's good. Let's push that down like so. And we're good. Okay, so in order to save time, I went ahead and I pre-tinned all of these posts here, all right, and then I tinned every one of these wire ends, but let's do it like this, okay? Have to be very careful that these don't cross one another. It's the first time doing it this way for me. So. All right, here's the orange. I believe next it says is the gray, which is what this one would typically be. So let's try this. Whoa, hey, get out of there. Okay, here we go. See if we can get these two together without any hassle. Okay, did that stay? So far, so good. All right, now we have the motor wires connected. Now track wire, which is, we'll have, next is going to be the red and the black. But we need to join these two together first. So my plan is to use, I've done this in the past. I like to use this piece for that. And what I do is I connect both of these wires together on this little pad, and then I connect these wires on that little pad. and I have 2 extra wires off to the side here that will run from here and here to there and there, so that it's the connections go a lot smoother. So when we come back, I should have everything prepared to solder together, okay? And I'll show you what we did. Okay, so here's my piece I put together. I soldered both of the top pads, and on the sides, I laid a strip right about here. Okay, see that? That's one. Gotta get it steady. Got it. Okay, so here you can see the idea. So now we have both of the right front and back track leads soldered and connected together right here. Okay, now let's go on this side. Okay, we're going to leave that decoder back there, and we're going to grab the black and begin connecting those to the other side here, okay? Like so. Let's see if I can get that red wire out of the way. There we go. Okay, so let's attach this guy right here. I think my finger's in the way, but let's give this a shot. Let's get this guy on here like so. Grab just a bit of solder, not much, just a little bit here to get this guy connected. Okay, that's one. All right, then we're going to take this guy here, and we should be able to connect this guy here with hopefully minimal issues. Let's get a little bit of solder there. Okay. So that is that portion of this, okay? Now the next thing I need to do, if I had little rods, I could connect those other two to it, but so now what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna thread this atop. Let's get this guy on top of the track power ones, okay? Because I think what I'm going to do with this is kind of line it up like this. And might be trimming some wires, but I don't think we're going to need to, okay? But I'll be back. I'm going to set up these wires to go from our decoder here, from these rods to the pads, to these pads down here. Okay, that'll be next. Okay, so I have tinned our 2 wires that we're going to run. I first want to connect it to the decoder because I think that I want to connect each one of these to our decoder here in these little rods. Let's do that first because I think that's going to be the tricky one. So red is the next one. So let's carefully, and this is so confusing because we are really looking at the orange and the we're looking at the orange and the gray here. You just have to understand that ahead of time because that's the motor colors typically to these guys. So what I'm going to do is, which one's a little shorter? This one. Let's go this way. So let's attach. I need some light here though. All right, let's attach this one to the next one over. Let's see, this is tricky stuff, people. I get a little bit on that and not hit the other ones. Okay, got it. That's our red Now we got to do our black. Okay. Yes, black is next. So, looks like I still have a little bit of solder on here. Let's see if I can get... All right. Let's check those connections, make sure they're pretty strong. That's great. And none of them are crossing over and touching one another. So, it's a good thing we have it going this way too, because here, matter of fact, we need to get all these wires out of here too and over the top. There we go. That's why we... So now, okay, if you can see what we've got here, we're going to, yeah, I tell you, let's see. I'm going to take, now that I can see what's going on here, I'm going to move these guys below our track power leads. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to solder, if you can see it from that angle, this one to this pad right here. Okay, so the red's going to connect to all of the other red. All right, let's clean that off a little bit and try to do this fairly quickly because I don't want to loosen the other two there. So let's see if we can do this. Got it. That's great. Yeah, this tends to work for me really well. These little soldering pads. Okay, and then we're going to take the black one. Here he is. And we are kind of going over the top, aren't we? It's okay. All right. So our black one, let's see, the red one's coming to the inside of that. Yeah, do we want to, we'll bring it to the inside here. Okay. So, yeah, let's do the black this way. Okay. No, that's not going to work. I need to come from this side. And need to kind of... Is that right? Let's see what we're doing here. Let's see. Okay, so I did take it underneath. Okay, that's what we want. All right. You know what? I think I'm going to hold the decoder up here and just go at it this way. I think it might be moving too much. No, that might work. Let's give it a shot. Let's clean this real quick. Make sure we get a... Yeah, I'm not moving too much. That's not a good connection. But kind of got it right where I want to hold it, so let's do that. Let's do this, and then now I got it steady. There we go. Get that solder to melt up. Connections are still all good. So that in a nutshell is a nice, quick, and easy way to hook up your track power and your motor power. Now, this is the first time I might say to you that I'm using one of these. So what I'm going to have to do here is be very careful too, because we have to put some Tapcon tape over this, but it's not touching currently. And this guy, yeah, he can't just be floating around either, but you see where I can put him while we test it on the track. Right there is fine, but then this guy's touching, so we got to be really careful. That's metal. All right, so when I come back, I'm going to tape off a few sections and make sure that we're safe in the running of this, although he's kind of floating above right here. I don't know. We'll be back. Okay, I got this tape down in the center over the motor, and I think we have a safe enough way here to see how this guy's going to run on the test track. So let's go there next. Okay, so let's give them a shot. Let's give them a go. 1 speed. 2. 3 on my NCE, by the way. Well, let's bring them back here. Nice. So yeah, we're hooked up, and it really doesn't take that long to do. Great. Okay. So back at the workbench now. So it's running really pretty good, and I think the next thing we will do, I'll do is I'm going to mimic with styrene the shape of this board, so that we can keep all of our lighting right on here, and when we remove the shell, we will have no excess wires going up in here. Okay, so I'm going to mimic what this is doing. We're going to have the holes for the screws, so we can screw those back in from the weight. We're going to do it just like this again, okay? But we'll have a nice flat piece where we can then put our like this, right? So we can set our decoder. We can keep this below all of this. This will fit. Our track power thing we devised here with the pads, the soldering pads, we'll keep that below all of this, put that new piece of styrene that's going to mimic this board across the top, just like this, and then we will have room for our decoder to fit either here or even back here on its side. But it should work out. So that'll be next. So I've got a nice piece of styrene here, and I'm going to go through the process of tracing out this board and on a piece of styrene so that we can use this in our new locomotive with our new decoder and rig up our lights to something similar to what they have going on here. First thing I want to do though is I want to grab this black piece and take that off. And by doing that, I just gotta bend that light out a little bit and then slide this off. So if I can create a little channel that just like that, that would be great for the front light. Now for the back, I'll probably try to rig up something similar to what I see here. And that's where we're at though. So when I come back, I will have this all traced out, and we'll make the holes for the screws and everything. So, all right. So here it is all traced out. I even have a couple of spots here to drill some holes, okay? And this will be the notch for a black piece right here. Go right in. So let's work on that next. Okay, so now I have the shape of the styrene cut out. Pretty close to what the board was and its thickness. This is a bit thicker than what the board was, as you can see. However, because of that, this wasn't fitting right. So what I did was, it fits really good now. What I did though was I had to shave just a bit off the sides, just a little bit, just to get it to creep up and on to a point here where it would be nice and snug, of which it is. Now, I'm going to work up something for the back piece here. We'll be right back. Oh, also I drilled out these holes. It's like about 1/8 inch drill bit. Started with a smaller bit like this, handheld, and then I had a nice stable hole that was smaller to run my drill through at low speed, my regular hand drill. All right, we'll be back. So currently, I'm using the little black piece that was inserted right in here, and I glued it about the same height. I'm letting it dry still. Glued it about the same height so that our LED can sit on there and not shine down. Some of it will go into the cab, that's how it goes, but I'm just waiting for that to dry, and then I will glue it to this end. Here, I'm just gonna glue it right to the side there. So when that's done, we'll come back. That's getting nice and tight now with the glue. So, all right. Okay, so I have our piece of styrene glued in place in the back, as you can see. One thing I should have did before gluing it in place, which I forgot, was to drill the hole. So that should be pretty interesting. Hopefully we're not re-gluing, but we might be. But I do have an idea with that too. Maybe there's a way I can prop it up on something. But I'm gonna drill a little hole in that, probably use this little bit right here, and then we will be set to get back to the chassis and putting it in placement there. Okay, so first off, I had to take my little rail nippers and trim and make flush all of these little spots here that they had little posts coming down. And then here on the chassis also, right here, little post sticking up and a little post sticking up. You know, the best you can. Now it'll be level. It should lay fairly level across this area, which it does. Now our screws will reach, and our weight go right on top just like this. Okay, before we do that, I'm going to come back. I'm going to tape all of this down underneath here. All right, be right back. Okay, so I have our little soldered connections here, taped with Tapcon tape again. Nothing touching metal there. And then we have them tucked to go like underneath there. So let's bring this guy through again. All right, making sure you have everything set up in the right direction, you guys. All right, and I think we're good here. So yeah, okay, so let's get our screws in here. Okay, and let's run this through both pieces now. There we go. All right, straighten this out. All right, there we go. Okay, we got it going through both, as you can see there. Now let's load it through this again. Carefully, make sure. We're gonna fasten this now. Let's make sure all our wires are not gonna be hitting, okay? All right, so far so good. Let's grab our, piece of tape. Let's grab our screwdriver and start at least getting these guys down and in there somewhat, so that we can, don't go all the way down yet. Make sure your wires are all clearing in between here, which mine are, but you should have a nice fit like that with a little gap. Okay, so let's flip it again this way. And I think we're good to tighten this down some more. Okay, get that one down. And get that one down. If I can just lay this on top like so, and still get that shell all the way down, then we're doing pretty good. And I think we're going to be all right here clearing the wires too, because it's wide. So let's see if we can. Just want to make sure I can get these folded over so that they don't fall down to the side. Okay, we'll test our shell here. Okay, let's do this. All right, and we are pretty golden. And forgot we gotta slide this guy on too. So there you have it, you guys. That's everything in place except for our lighting. Okay, so I went ahead and what I did here was for our lighting right here, I just added 2 resistors: orange, gray, red, black, white, and yellow. Correct. So this one will be, let's zoom in again, this one here, this is gonna be front, that's rear light. Okay, so when we come back, we will have our LEDs in place. Okay, so our LEDs are in. We've got the front and the rear. You can see it right there. And then there's everything else we've done here today. You can see the decoder here and all our soldered wires, and I just connected the black wires of each of the LEDs to our resistor parts, and then the red all joined up with the common right here. And that's where you'll see the shrink tubing there. So the red are coming out, but they're joined by the blue. And you know, we're about there. Fairly quick project, only took about, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours to do. But that's where we're at. And we'll get it on the test track and I'll show you how it's doing. Okay, we're back to the track with our lighting all rigged up and set up. This is the front. Let's switch it to forward and we'll turn on the light. Okay, and then we'll switch directions to the rear. There's the rear light. And then we go forward, right here. And there you have it. So let's put this shell back on right now. There we go. Great. Let's get this flipped over so we can screw it into place. Get our screws on here. Okay, one here. And on here. Just like that. Get my little screwdriver out. Let's get these firmly screwed in. There's 1, 2. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put this back on. And I don't think it matters which way this one goes. All right. Okay. And that is it. Let's go see how our lights do when we put it on the track. All right, let's turn on our lights and see how it's looking. Oh, that looks nice and bright. Better than the orange light they give you. Let's flip to the back. Yeah, that looks good too. The way they build these Bachmann, you do get a little filtered light in the cab area, which is okay. That's how they come. And this can be adjusted, of course. We can make our lights a little dimmer if one likes, which I probably will do for this one. But yeah, there it goes. $70-tonner with an ESU Lokpilot. Very smooth. Total job for this only costs you about 40 bucks, 50 bucks tops. So this is an economical way to go.